told me to be here this week, and I never backed down from a challenge. And as far as I can tell, I'm pretty much here, right? I'm in this ring right here, standing. Kurt Angle, where are you at? Won't you come on down here? You got something to say to me, say it to my face.
You know what, James? I got to give you a lot of credit. You're either just plain stupid or you're one of the toughest SOBs I've ever met. A few weeks ago when I attacked you from behind, I hit you so hard I thought I gave myself a concussion. I thought you would be out at least 6 months. But it was only 3 weeks, and that's on me. I screwed up. But in Final Resolution, I ain't going to screw up again. Because when you come into this ring against Kurt Angle, you come into my world. I'm the best wrestler in the world. And it's not going to happen again, James, the way you screwed me for the World Heavyweight title when Sting and you forced me to wrestle you within 90 minutes. This time, I will be well prepared because I think about you morning, noon, and night.
Whoa, wait a minute. I don't need you to think about me when you go to bed at night. That kind of creeps me out. But there it was. That's that voice. That's that tone. That's that factor you have, that intimidation factor, Kurt. You know exactly what I'm talking about because you win most of your matches before they even begin. Because you tell the opponent what you're going to do to them. You let them think about what's going to happen to them when they step into the ring with the greatest wrestler in the world. When they step into the ring with an Olympic gold medalist. When they step into the ring with a 13-time world heavyweight champion. But let me tell you something about me. My dad passed away when I was 12 years old. I had 2 stepbrothers that was killed by a drunk driver when I was 15. When I was 16, my stepdad died. When I was 19, my grandmother passed away, and I just put my dog of 6 years to sleep last week. Kurt, I've looked death in the face. You don't scare me, and there's nothing on God's green earth that intimidates me. Now, you can sit there and you can tell me what you're going to do to me all you want, but let me tell you what I'm going to do to you. The last time you was on the receiving end of a last call, it knocked you out, and I beat you for that World Heavyweight Championship. This time, when you're on the receiving end of a last call and your head hits this mat right here, I'm going to take my size 12 cowboy boot and I'm going to stick it right on that noggin and I'm going to crush it like a beer can. Now to show you how intimidated I am of you, how scared I am of you, Kurt Angle. You like to jump people from behind? Well, I'm going to turn around, and if you feel froggy, jump. That's what I thought. I'll see you this Sunday. Oh, it's real. It's damn real.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, oh yeah.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Ferran Derry.
It doesn't matter what your name is. Really? Yeah!
On Final Resolution weekend, we have a hell of a promo from James Storm. Welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Ferran Derry here with you, ready to talk and give my predictions certain to go wrong for Final Resolution. We'll also, of course, talk WWE as a lot of developments leading to the TLC Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view. That'll be 1 week from tomorrow. We'll go ahead and take a look at all that. Also, some different bits and pieces of news throughout the wrestling world, including a notable return last night on SmackDown. In case you missed it, Lillian Garcia back in as the in-ring announcer after taking a hiatus for close to a year, if my memory serves me right. It definitely is. It feels like a little while, but she's back, and a return to the ring. At least we're going to see 1 week from tomorrow. Booker T back in the ring. He's going to be facing Cody Rhodes, the Intercontinental Champion. A battle of wrestler turned announcer against current wrestling champion. We'll see how that goes. That's one of the 6 matches currently set up for TLC. I've also got the 8 matches set for Final Resolution, which will be tomorrow night for TNA. But let's get back to that James Storm promo. Even my producer, Wild Bill Melody, who I'll admit doesn't follow the product as closely as a lot of you out there, he knows a good promo when he hears one. He even said, that's one of the better ones I've heard in a while. Or I think he actually said he's got a good writer, and I said I kind of chuckled at that. I was like, I don't know if he necessarily wrote that or how much of that's true, but it's certainly believable, and that's what you want to do to get the audience involved. And I want to get your take out there. What were your thoughts on on that promo, and of course leading up to that James Storm Kurt Angle match? That's going to be one of the 8 matches for Final Resolution coming up tomorrow. We've also got a little bit of an update on some names we haven't heard. We've heard sprinkles of rumors, because that's what the internet does. They throw lots of rumors out there. We'll get updates from John Morrison on what he's doing now that he has been wished the best of his future endeavors by the WWE. Also, we get to hear a little bit from Chris Jericho. He had a tweet last night. He responds to the rumors of being the mystery individual who'll be returning on January 2nd, 2012 to WWE. We've seen them now for 3 weeks. Chris Jericho has been one of the highly speculated folks. I've got his reaction coming up in this hour. Also, a little bit of the media circuit by the WWE superstars, as coming up this Tuesday, we've got the annual WWE Tribute to the Troops show that they're doing, and to help promote that a little bit, last night Sheamus was on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, and also this week we had The Miz on Conan O'Brien. That was absolutely hysterical. I will make sure after this hour is over to put that up on the WBCB Facebook fan page. Of course, WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. You can chime in there via the Facebook fan page if you're a little afraid to get to the phones. I'll get you the numbers in just a moment for that. Wow, what a week to say the least. Yes, I got a chance to check out the Miz clip a little bit earlier this morning. I'm still chuckling at it, kind of playing off the last time that the Miz was on Conan O'Brien's show and gave the rather tall, wiry comedic talk show host an interesting nickname of the Ginger Ninja. Of course, being tall and redheaded, kind of throwing that in there, and let's just say it developed even further. I don't want to give it all away, but it's definitely something to check out. You can either check it out now if you're a little bit impatient. I'll let you wait to get to the site. Anticipation makes the heart grow fonder, or something of that nature. Also, Zack Ryder, as if we haven't seen enough of him this past week, he has another episode of his Z True Long Island Story online show, and a bit of a flash from the past on there. Dennis Haskins. I know that name doesn't sound familiar immediately to wrestling fans, and I know when I first saw it, I couldn't quite place it either, but if you were a fan of Saved by the Bell as a kid, I know that's going back about 20 years ago now, but he was Mr. Belding, of course, from Saved by the Bell. He's a huge wrestling fan. You know that show with Screech and Slater. Mario Lopez back when he was a teenager, as opposed to the media personality that he is now, and of course, Mark Paul Gosselaar and Tiffany Amber Thiessen. Yeah, you remember them all. But yes, Mr. Belding apparently is a wrestling fan, and he decided to put on a web post for Zack Ryder's Z True Long Island Story, and part of an interesting array of things, as it always tends to be with Zack Ryder's online show. We'll talk a little bit more about Zack Ryder coming up in this hour. He definitely got the spotlight put on him on Raw, of course, this past week, and he finally got what he's been petitioning for. He has a U.S. title shot against Dolph Ziggler, and that'll be coming up 1 week from tomorrow at the TLC pay-per-view. A U.S. title matchup. Zack Ryder, the big broski, as it were, he'll be challenging Dolph Ziggler, and that's thanks to a bit of a sacrifice by John Cena. And Yeah, we can get into that now a little bit before we get to the phones at 215-949-3232 or toll free at 888-922-2149. Well, yeah, we'll get to the phones in just a sec, but of course, this past week, John Laurinaitis, he made some matches to determine who would face CM Punk for the title at TLC, as there tends to be the usual cluster of potential number one contenders coming out of there. Dolph Ziggler kind of was lost in the shuffle, but he had come out there, as well as John Cena, The Miz, and Alberto Del Rio. So matches were made, and basically if you win, then you're in the potential title match. So The Miz beating Randy Orton to earn his spot, Alberto Del Rio beating Daniel Bryan to earn his spot. So that's 3 people in the title match. And then in an interesting twist, John Cena facing Zack Ryder. His, I guess, I don't know, would John Cena be the, I don't know. That Zack Ryder's kind of like the Gilligans as Cena's skipper, for lack of a better description. At least that's how it looks now. And, 2 friends colliding. Cena ended up beating Ryder, going to get his spot in the title match, asking Laurinaitis to give Zack Ryder another chance, and Laurinaitis, he gave that opportunity, but Cena had to give up his spot in the WWE Championship match in order to get that, and Zack Ryder facing Mark Henry, he made it a non-title, no disqualification, no count-out match, and that allowed Cena to get involved. And an attitude adjustment on Mark Henry later. Zack Ryder beating Mark Henry to get his U.S. title shot. At least for the moment, John Cena out of the title match, and at this point, not on the pay-per-view. Let's go ahead and take we'll give you the rundown real quick. The 6 matches for TLC. We've got, of course, CM Punk defending the WWE title against The Miz and Alberto Del Rio. That's going to be a triple threat tables, ladders, and chairs match, a TLC match for the WWE Championship. We've also got Mark Henry defending the world title against The Big Show. We've seen them face off the last couple of pay-per-views now. This time around is going to be a chairs match based on what had happened at Survivor Series. I mentioned earlier Cody Rhodes defending the Intercontinental title against Booker T, making his way back into the ring from the announcer's booth, and already I think that's going to be a rather notable improvement. Randy Orton facing Wade Barrett in a tables match. Of course, last night on SmackDown there was a Beat the Clock challenge where, of course, a 2-person Beat the Clock challenge, but the winner of that challenge could choose the stipulation for the match, and Randy Orton besting Wade Barrett by 2 seconds in the Beat the Clock challenge ended up choosing a tables match, and that's what they're going to face off in. Of course, Dolph Ziggler defending the U.S. title against Zack Ryder, and in a match that hasn't gotten a lot of promotion, but it's definitely on the card to say the least. Triple H against Kevin Nash in a ladder match. In this case, since there's no title on the line, at the top of the ladder is going to be a sledgehammer, which the first person to get it can use it, and then at that point the match will be determined by pinfall or submission. An interesting one. I don't know how Nash's knees are going to hold up in a climbing a ladder. I'm sure he's heard a few horror stories from buddies Shawn Michaels and Scott Hall about how ladder matches can be, and I'm sure Triple H has been in a few of them as well. So I don't know. I think it's a little risky, but then again, I wasn't sure what Hogan would have done or was able to do at Bound for Glory, and he certainly served me a bit of humble pie with that one. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to the phones. Got a couple people waiting patiently. First, let's go ahead and take a look at our local scene, courtesy of Ed from Northeast Philly. Ed, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Good afternoon. JCW and ECW at the ECW Arena at the end of the month with Rhino, Balls, and Axel Rotten.
Oh, Balls Mahoney and Axel Rotten. I know I've talked with him on an occasion, not here on the show. I had done an announcing thing with him. He's going to be down there. You said it's later this month?
Yeah, at the end of the month with the Blue Meanie and Sabu.
The Blue Meanie and Sabu. Another couple of good guys. I've had the Blue Meanie record some promos for us here at the station.
Tickets are on sale now for the ROH coming to Philadelphia.
Coming back home, Ring of Honor. Yes. When's that going down, Ed?
8 p.m. on January 20th at the National Guard Armory.
The National Guard. Oh, that's not too far from me there. It's just about a 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 minute trip down Route 1 there to the Guard Armory right there at Byberry and the Boulevard, I believe that is. It should be a good time. That's coming up January, a little over a month from now, January 20th.
And don't forget the Raw Super Show.
Of course, yes. The night after the TLC pay-per-view, which is, in this case, it's going to be 1 week from this Monday. Raw comes to Philadelphia, and, of course, there'll be a ton of fallout from the TLC pay-per-view. Should be an interesting one, to say the least. Thank you. Thanks so much for the call, Ed. Appreciate it as always. Yes, have a happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you as well. And that actually reminds me a bit of a programming note. Next week, we're going to be on the air here. We're going to do a 2011 year in review. I'm going to see what I can do about bringing some old friends from the show in. Schedules pending. And, we'll take a look back at 2011, and then the following 2 weeks, the 24th and the 31st, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, I will not be on the air here with you for Pro Wrestling Weekly, because I have a hunch, as those are kind of more family days and parties and things like that, go party, go celebrate, do that responsibly on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, do what you got to do. You don't need to, you don't need to tune into me. Some things are a little bit more important than wrestling, and that would be one of them. So, next week will be the last show of 2011. It'll be a year in review. It'll, of course, be the usual time, 12:05 until 1 o'clock. And then, we'll have a ton of stuff, of course, to talk about next week. Along with the year in review, we'll preview the TLC pay-per-view. And we'll get our final speculations. That'll be the last time we'll have the chance to chat before finding out about this mystery, the mystery videos that we've seen. Of course, starting off with It Begins and then Second Coming, and now we've gotten the new one following this past week. Hard to say who it is, although we've certainly gotten some speculations, to say the least. I'll talk a little bit about Chris Jericho's responses to the videos that have shown up over the last few weeks. We'll get that coming up in the next segment. Let's go ahead and take care of our first bit of business, and then we'll get to Ron, who's been waiting patiently. We'll get to you right on the other side, as well as, speaking of old friends, it looks like one of them is going to be on the line as well. And we still have room for you also, 215-949-3232, or we're toll-free at 888-922-2149. Those are the ways to reach us here via the phone. If you're a little shy to do so, would rather kind of get your thoughts via the interwebs, you can join us on our Facebook fan page, WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. Go ahead and like us, post on the wall, and we'll read your Facebook feedback over the air. Just make sure that it's suitable for air, or I'll have to do some necessary editing, at least before it gets verbalized over the air, because I like having this gig and don't want to give it up by saying things that I probably shouldn't say. I know, CM Punk's a little bit riskier than I am in that regard. Anyway, coming up on the other side, we'll also take a look at the contract signing that occurred on Raw this past week, and I still have those predictions starting to go wrong for Final Resolution. News and notes, still a bunch to get to here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.